And good morning, everybody. This is Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine, the podcast. It is Monday. It's Christmas week. So excited about this week. Hopefully, everybody's ready for this Christmas season. It has been one of those crazy times of year where not only has everything been changed because of COVID, but it's been changed because of you've had to use this technology. It's just all this new technology and everything else. Today on Black Success Magazine podcast, we're going to talk about Branding 101. And it just occurred to me that we'd actually written about it. We've actually got an article up on the website, Black Success Magazine. But we've never done a podcast on branding. So we're going to do a little bit of we'll do something just to get you going, because there's a lot of times that we have gone on, done some branding, we've seen some things, and are we really there? Is it tightened up? And we all need to tighten up our branding. I know I do. It's something we refine all the time, so that's kind of where we're at today. So those of you that have been with us for a while, you know that Black Success Magazine has launched our magazine. The magazine is up. It's online now. We're changing things a little bit because we want to be able to make sure that you can actually download the magazine. And so all weekend long we've been working on a new website, we've been working on new technology, all that stuff, to make it so that it's easier for you as somebody who's going to download the magazine, for you to be able to get access to it, and not only that, for you to share it. So we want you if you see an article in there that you think is cool, you see an article about Marcus Johnson, or about Lynn James or something like that, that you can actually share that, because those are things that just get people jazzed up. So you can go to our website, blacksuccessmagazine.com. Go to the bottom of the page. There's a little blurb that talks about, hey, Black Success Magazine. Come put your email in and get the book. Get the magazine. It's really cool. We're already working on March's magazine already, so very excited about that. And of course, the podcast goes out each and every day. So we'll update this. We'll put it up on YouTube. We'll put it up on Twitter. We'll put it up all over the place on Instagram, so that you can share it with your friends. Because a lot of you, maybe just you don't have time. You don't have time to look at my my cool glasses, or something like that, and you want to just take the vocals with you. So we make that available to you. You can actually hear the podcast pretty much anywhere. It's up on Apple Podcasts, so you can put that out there. So today, once again, we're going to talk about Branding 101, and not only that, but how you can tighten up your branding, which we all need. We definitely do. So, what is branding? So branding, and what is a brand? Okay. So what we really want to break that down to are mental images or mental pictures of yourself. So many of us, and I would say everybody, thinks in images. We don't think in words generally. When you think about Nike, or you think about cornflakes or something like that, you're not thinking about Kellogg's, K-E-L. No, you're thinking about images. You're thinking about tastes and smells and that kind of thing. So when you're talking about the brand and what your brand is for your company, so you can even apply this show to your personal brand, to your business brand. You're talking about something that conjures up an image in someone's mind. When you think about Black Success Magazine, what comes to your mind when you think about Black Success Magazine? Well, gosh, success can take on a lot of forms, but you're thinking about happiness. You're thinking about making money. You're thinking about, fulfilling all of your aspirations. That's success. Or making it to the next level. So that's kind of what you're thinking. You're thinking about, I'm running or something like that. Or this weekend, I went out riding with my buddies. And I've been practicing a lot, because I ride with a crew of guys that are good, and they're not just good, but they are really good. And when I ride with them, even though they're older than me, they always beat me. And so I practice week in and week out, so that when I go riding with them, not only am I there with them, I want to beat them, and I want to beat them bad. So, so I practice all week long on hills near my house, and then when I go riding with them on the weekends, I can compete with them. And so we had one of the guys who I had not seen in a while rode with us this weekend, and he goes, Sherman, he goes, man, I can tell you've been really practicing because normally you don't do this, and now you do that, and now you do this, and to me that's success because now I got their attention, you know. And they're saying, well, now you can ride the big boy hills with us, and I went, nah, no, I'm good, you know. Or there was a guy that, as I was riding home today or yesterday from my ride with my buddies, that I caught up with another rider, and this guy had legs as big as my shoulders. I mean, one of those, you know, those, when you think about the quintessential cyclist, this is what that guy was. He was skinny on top, and his legs were like tree trunks. And he says, I love riding hills. His name was Sid. I don't know if Sid's watching the show. I told him about the show. But Sid is now my new aspiration point. Is my new, and he's younger than I am. He's almost 10 years younger than I am. But that's my new thing. That's success, and that gets you going. So anyways, so when you think about a brand, when you have a mental image of a brand, pictures, images form in your mind, and that's what we're talking about. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. Ways to form a brand for your person. Maybe it's for your business, maybe it's for a product, but that's what we're going to be talking about today. And not only that, these are the things that you want to conjure up in your customers' minds. So when they see, you know, when they see, so I can put this up in front of you right now, and you'll probably be able to tell me who the maker of this is, just because of the color of it. So brands can be broken down to, let's talk about the components of a brand. So there are 5 components of a brand. One is your tagline. The other one, the next thing is your logo. Then we go on to your name, imagery and colors, and then lastly your brand promise. So let's start with number 1, your tagline. So your tagline is the thing about the name of your site. And let's talk about a website. We'll just kind of keep it in something that we can all kind of visualize. The name of your website, your business, or your blog has a tagline on it. And it could be your name. It could be, if you're building a personal brand or something else, it could even be a made-up word. Okay? Excuse me. Yeah, I went backwards, folks. Let's start out with your name. Okay, so your name could actually be your brand. Okay, so your name of whatever you're doing, could be your personal brand. It could be a made-up word like the word Google. Many people had no idea what Google meant, but now we all kind of know where it's at. Facebook is another brand where we know when we think about Facebook what comes up in your mind. I mean, and now people go, oh my gosh, Facebook! I know exactly what's coming up in my mind. The thing about that name is that it does not exist alone. So even though you might have a name for something, let's say the name Canon, okay? Canon is a name, but alone it's not a brand. It comes with something that actually comes alongside of it that actually makes it a brand. Google, it's the same thing. Whatever comes alongside of Google will actually help out to build out that brand. And so let's go to, because of time, because we don't have a lot of time here, let me make sure I got my time right. Oops. Yeah, we're going to run out of time here. So let's go to your logo, okay? Your logo is a visual representation of your brand that you want to use everywhere. Black Success Magazine, we have a logo. And we have a logo that's pretty obvious, and it's blue, it's black, it's blue, black, has white background on it. But the interesting thing about it is a specific black. It's a specific blue. And those are things that we use constantly on on our branding. We use it everywhere. And so that's what you want to do. And it's something you want to keep consistent throughout every medium that you use. So you could be on Facebook, you could be on, you could be on Twitter, you could be on videos, whatever you do, that color, that, that scheme, the fonts that you use, all need to hook together and they all need to stay consistent. When we became part of the Apple family, and we're now starting to get our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Apple sent us a specific thing. It's a specs on Apple on if you want to ever say that your podcast is out on Apple Podcast, and they're very specific. They say, look, it's got to be this, 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 and there's only so much border that you can go around our logo, the whole thing. And the reason why they do that is because they want to stay consistent upon every medium. When we first started an organization, the Black Business Chamber, early on this year, we were bringing on affiliates, and we already had a logo made up for Black Success Magazine, or excuse me, Black Business Chamber. And we actually had somebody who came in and said, "Hey, we want to be a part of what you're doing," and they made up their own logo, and we went, "No, we don't want you making up your own logo. That doesn't work with our brand. Our brand is this. Your fonts are wrong. Your colors are wrong. None of that works. The height, everything needs to stay the same. There's a reason why people work for, and spend so much money on a brand or on a logo. It's because they want people to know that is them. That's authentic. They want to elicit an image, a smell, or whatever it is through their logo. And so that's important. Ideally, your logo wants to be simple. 2 colors, 3 colors at the most. It doesn't need to be something that's just outlandish, crazy color scheme, that kind of stuff, because you want people to remember that. Your logo, and we'll kind of stay on this for just a second longer, needs to be very memorable. So Nike, let's go back to Nike as an example. The Nike swoosh, very simple, easy. Anybody can do it. It's very simple. It's very memorable, and you can see it from a mile off, which is great. There was a contest done many years ago, and they were talking about people making up logos, and the worst logos were the ones that were so intricate that nobody could, that nobody could remember it because it had so many parts and pieces in it, stuff like that. So generally, it's something very simple, and generally, the people who have the best companies, have the highest rated companies, have a very, very simple logo. I mean, it's not something very hard to replicate at all. Apple is one. I mean, Apple is just pretty incredibly easy to do. And Nike, we'll use them as an example. Very easy to remember. Let's go back to tagline for just a second, okay? Because I kind of glossed over it. But so your tagline, all blogs, generally most companies have a tagline that they talk about in their company. And your tagline defines what your brand is about. And it removes any ambiguity in terms of what you actually do. So, Black Success Magazine, our tagline is "All we do is success." That's it. It has changed over the last year. We used to be, we talk about the people, the places, and the trends but we really wanted to make it even simpler. So now our tagline is "All we do is success." That's really all we talk about. We talk about success. We don't talk about politics by and large. We don't talk about sports. Well, we did, if it has to do with success. We don't talk about flowers. We don't talk about space. We talk about success. Are you a successful person, and how do you get to that? So all the things that we encompass have to do with success. Your tagline needs to be the same thing. It needs to come alongside of your logo, and it needs to really come along and remove any ambiguity on what your logo is all about, or whatever your website is about, or something like that. We'll talk about brand promise if we get a chance here. Let me make sure of my time. Okay, we might get to our brand promise. Good. Okay, let's talk about your images, your color scheme of your brand. There are certain things that elicit certain responses in people, and those colors or those images are part of what will do it. Let's say you are trying to elicit a response of love, amore, to people. Are you going to have really harsh colors that have got a lot of slashes in them, that kind of stuff, dirt? Probably not. So there are certain colors and there are certain images that will elicit certain responses in people, and that is a part of your brand. So that's something you want to definitely bake into your brand. Does your brand have, do you want people to think about success? So there's certain colors that are really related to success. Orange is a success color, generally though for a younger audience. Okay, a younger audience looks at orange and they go, wow, that's very cool. Red, very powerful color. Blue, very colorful, powerful color. Black talks about sophistication, that kind of thing. So you want to think about that. So let's say I had a guy that I was consulting many years ago. His brand was athletics, sports, that kind of thing. But when you saw him, he wore a suit, and I went, well, dude, you're not selling a suit. You're selling physical stuff. You want people to see your muscles and everything else. I said, look, get rid of all that stuff. Tear that down and wear clothes that show off how much you've been working out. And he did. It took him probably, gosh, I got on this guy about this for a long time. Finally, he got it. He started wearing clothes that looked like he was the bad boy. You know what I mean? He started wearing the shirt with the collar's a little open, showing little chest hairs, the muscles. He was wearing tight spandex pants. And guess what happened to his business? Yeah, it went through the roof. It really did. I was so excited for him because that was part of his brand, and he finally was getting in line with his brand. Success Magazine, Black Success Magazine, is really about success. And so I'm not going to come to you in wearing, a torn up t-shirt or something like that. It's just not. This is what we want you to be, a successful person. And so this is what success looks like. Now, do all successful people wear suits? By and large, yeah, a lot of successful people wear suits. A lot of successful people they may not wear a tie all the time, so I don't wear a tie. That's just kind of my brand. But do they wear clothes that fit them? Yeah. Do they generally read books? I mean, I always have books behind me because successful people tend to read a lot of books. I mean, not just one or two books, a lot of books. And so, you need to think about that as a part of your brand, and this might be your personal brand. Okay, this might be your personal brand. But that's something, what do you want your people to feel? What do you want your people to be talking about? What does your target audience really want? They want to see that you are looking like what you're selling, and that's important to them. So that's part of... So once again, let's talk about colors real quick. Purple, royalty. So if that's part of the logo or part of what your branding is about, purple tends to talk about luxury. It talks about royalty. Black, as we were talking about before, power, luxury. Power, being formal, sophistication. White, it talks about clean. It's a positive color. So there might be a lot of white background in your website, or a lot of white in your logo. Black Success Magazine, we have colors in ours for the fonts themselves, but the rest of it's all white. It's all a white background. We don't use a brown black background. We don't use a lot of flashy colors, because really that's what we want you to understand, is that's where we want to elicit a positive response on you. And I've got just a couple minutes left. I know I do. Okay, I do. Yep, got a couple minutes left. Let's talk about your brand promise. Okay. Uh, the your brand promise is a phrase that encompasses the overall promise of your business. It communicates what people can expect to get and feel. Okay, so not only do they get it from you, but they get to feel it from you by doing business with you. So part of your brand promise might be, if you work with us, you will make $1 million. Okay, just something off the top of my head. Canon, if you use a Canon camera, you'll take the best pictures in the world. Okay, that's a brand promise. And I mean, you don't want to go outlandish on this stuff, saying things that you probably can't do. But if they work with you, if you listen to Black Success Magazine, you will be successful. There's no doubt in my mind. If you take into practice the things we talk about, you will be successful. If you don't, folks, you're on your own. You really are. But we know, because these things work, that if you are part of our community, if you listen to what we do, if you listen to our tapes, if you listen to, if you watch our videos and you put those things into practice, you will be successful. That's all there is to it. Now, the level of success is really up to you. It's really how much you want it. But we have researched, and the things I talk about, we get either in our own lives or in the lives of other people that have been successful, and so we know it works. So don't doubt me on this. So lastly, about your brand needs to be consistent all across your platforms, your magazines, your blogs, Twitter, social media, TV, wherever you put your brand up. It needs to be consistent everywhere you go, which means one of the toughest parts is the advent of social media. Social media has made it so that what people do in their business, their careers, they think they can separate it by their personal page on social media, and you really can't. And this is tough. And I know I suffer with this myself, and I'm really trying to separate myself from my personal life, because your personal life is your brand. It's your personal brand. It's your business brand. So you can't go on social media, rant on people, and rant and cuss and jump up and down and be, political and all this other stuff, and then go on and talk about, whatever you're talking about as your brand. Okay, they need to be consistent. There needs to be a congruency across the whole thing. So something to not just take into consideration. It really needs to be something that you're very serious about. So it's very important that your brand is consistent across all mediums, and that you're not confusing people. So you're not talking about being, and this is really important. Let's say your brand is being a church person, okay, but then you go on social media and you're cussing, or you're out, getting drunk and partying and stuff like that. Generally doesn't work. Trust me on that one. That's not going to work. So you want to be consistent across all platforms, everywhere you go. When people see you in the street, they need to say, "Oh, that's the same guy that I see, on the commercials." It's the same thing. So, because it might be your business brand, it might be your personal brand, but whatever it is, it needs to be congruent, or it all needs to be the same going across all mediums. Okay. Anyways, before we leave, I want to remind you, Black Success Magazine comes to you Monday through Friday, 8:30 in the morning to about 9 o'clock-ish or something like that. All we talk about is success, folks. That's all we do. If you would like to pick up the podcast, we will, if you're on Facebook, or we will actually leave a link to it below this video sometime today, a little later. We've got Christmas time. We're getting a little more busy, but But also, if you would like a copy of the magazine, go to our website, blacksuccessmagazine.com. We've been changing the magazine, or changing the website a little bit. So, uh, pardon our, work under construction and stuff like that. But just go to the bottom of the page, the front page, and you can actually get a copy of it right at the bottom of the page. So that's Black Success Magazine, the magazine. We're already working on the March edition of it. Enjoy the December edition. It's very, very cool. And it's our first effort into being a full-fledged personal development website, that kind of thing. So very excited about it. We hope you enjoy it. Once again, go to our website at blacksuccessmagazine.com and check it out. If you like what you hear, folks, you're watching us on YouTube or on Facebook, smash that subscribe button on YouTube and like us on Facebook. Send me an email at info@blacksuccessmagazine. Say, Sherman, I really dig what you're doing. We just want to continue to encourage you. I thank you so much, folks, for being a part of the show. This has been Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine, the podcast. We will see you again tomorrow, 8:30 in the morning, for Black Success Magazine, the podcast. This has been Sherman Ray. We'll talk to you later.